All right, everyone. My name is Pascal Borel, and I'm talking to you from Geneva in Switzerland. Today, I'm going to read you a text. It is the text of the book I have written called, intitulated 2024. 2024 is the book that I have written to give you the roadmap that will recreate the strength of our democracies at the service of the sole sovereign, the people, you. You will find the book on Amazon, both in French and English. I've written it in both languages. And it will treat subjects as important as your health, as education, as the legal framework, the constitution, our political system, and the money flows between citizens and the governance system that gives you, whether you like it or not, your collaborative capacity in order for you to have a good life, an accomplished life. Of course, you will find the book on our website, www.4ovet24.com, for free. As in, you can have a read directly on the screen if you so prefer, or you can buy the book and have it physically in your hands when you prefer that. It's up to you. The idea is to offer you through our website, forovet24.com, a platform of freedom that can be used to exchange your opinion. Every chapter is followed by a comment section, exactly like on a video on YouTube. You have to scroll down and, okay, you get to the comments. And please do not hesitate. Comment, ask questions, criticize, be my guest, of course, so I can also learn from your opinion shared with the rest of the community. The idea again is to give you a roadmap that will guide you to where we want to go together, as in a system of governance which is solely dedicated to you, where you are the only sovereign. Today, I'm going to, the dog is saying hello. No, Charlotte, no. Today, I'm going to read chapter 2, and it's called Our Obsession with Complexity, what I would call Complexititus. A few citations. Wisdom does not come when there is nothing more to add. It comes when there is nothing more to take away. You cannot fill a cup that is already full. It is more interesting to live without knowing than to have the wrong answers. Cutting the Gordian knot is the only way to truly de-complexify. It is undeniable that all humans have highly developed brains in all circumstances. We all enjoy using this tool for what it is capable of achieving. It is rewarding to demonstrate that you have filled your brain well and that you juggle your knowledge better than your neighbor. You are capable of complex reasoning, speaking, reading, writing, counting, performing manual tasks with great precision. And through these abilities, you adapt to your environment, however complex it might be. Using your brain to engage in a reasoning that involves multiple factors provides immense satisfaction because you enjoy using your intellectual faculties. The evolution of life has driven you to use this highly efficient tool to analyze your environment understand it in minute detail, engage in reasoning inaccessible to other species, gain competitive advantages, stand out, and ultimately become the top predator of the planet. The evolution of our species pushes you to use your brain to its fullest potential. And this brings you a pleasure essential to your well being. You cannot imagine using your brain in any way other than to its maximum capacity because it is like the engine of a Formula One car, one of the best performing nervous system among all the species on our planet. If you have a Formula One engine, you use it on racing circuits to win races. You do not install that engine in a tractor to plow the fields. This is one of the reasons why straightforward reasoning becomes inaccessible to you. You want to race. You are made for that. Nature has optimized you for that. You see complex reasoning to give yourself value, to show how good you are, how intelligent you are, how much better than the others you are. This is how you earn your university degree, how you get a good job, how you demonstrate that you are smarter than your competition. Imposing straightforward reasoning on your brain, which was designed for complex tasks, is a torment which is hard for you to accept. Simple reasoning is, is not worthy of you. You fear being seen as simple minded, unable to demonstrate that you are able to take into account all the parameters, all the factors involved in a given situation. In short, you become a prisoner of your complexity. You suffer from complexititis, much like the flu, except that you will recover eventually from the flu, whereas in your case, it is chronic. No recovery possible. You suffer from chronic complexititis. We are all affected by complexititis to varying degrees. The more educated your brain is, the more trained it is, the greater its cognitive capacity, the more capable it is of being stubborn or confirming and justifying its errors. This is the confirmation bias, where you use all your intellectual abilities to confirm your assumptions rather than reanalyze your foundations. Mo from the bottom to the top. It is a form of arrogance, typical of the most educated among us, that leads to the commitment bias, characterized by the denial of error. It is much easier to deceive someone than to make them admit they have been deceived. Accepting that you were foolish enough to believe the lies on which you build your life is almost impossible. You have invested 5, 10, or 20 years studying, formatting your brain to obtain your university degree. Then you want it to pay off. You want to obtain a higher quality of life from it. The psychological and intellectual cost of admitting that the knowledge you have learned in school, at university, through the media, or from your parents is false, that you are mistaken, that is so violent and painful that irresistible psychological defense mechanisms are generated. These mechanisms strive to find justifications for your errors, and you fall back into the confirmation bias. It is an absolute vicious circle that will trap you in your complexititis, especially if you realize that through your certainties you have betrayed your fellow humans. It is a vicious circle that will trap you in your complexititis, especially if you realize that through your certainties you have betrayed your fellow humans, harmed the quality of life of the majority, and that you are destroying the ecosystem on which we all depend. You will not be able to admit it, and you will lock yourself up in your complexity. In fact, you will lock yourself up in your lies to yourself and to others. You will have no choice but to complexify things infinitely to avoid being unmasked and held accountable. The only solution to your dilemma is to make the following effort. In a complicated situation, one must come up with simple ideas. Simple ideas in which everyone can recognize themselves and associate with. Simple ideas which create consensus and unity, even if they offer only a partial solution. Make the effort to forbid yourself from indulging in complexititis while reading this text. If you cannot do that, you will contribute nothing. You will be utterly useless, and you will continue to describe your problems instead of testing your solutions. You will try to justify your mistakes to avoid correcting them. You will remain a passive witness to what you mistakenly consider immutable, rather than being an active player proposing a way forward. Your choice. Let me provide you with an example. 3 meters from the goal, a good footballer shoots. He takes the simple solution. He scores or does not score. But he does not look for the ideal pass to a teammate, which is the complicated solution. At 3 meters away from the goal, he takes his chance in the simplest and most direct way possible. He shoots. As spectator, that is what you love to see. That is what we all love to see. That is what you value the most. That is what is beautiful. That is what has the most value in the game. If in a complicated situation, you make the effort to come up with simple ideas, it is because you have understood the situation better than others. It is because you have thought it through better than others. You are the one who will be able to bring the best solution, because even in a multifactorial situation, you will have simply extracted the important elements. I know you cannot cure your complexititis, but I ask you to set it aside for a while. If you do not want or cannot make this effort, close this book, stop listening, and go to bed. You are wasting your time, and to some extent, you're wasting mine. You value yourself through your complex reasoning, But in doing so, you cut yourself from any chance of understanding the often very simple foundations of the problems that you are trying to solve. In the evolution of life on Earth, when nature has a simple solution, it never chooses a complicated solution to ensure its success. In our modern civilization, we have forgotten and largely betrayed this fundamental principle of life's success by trying to explain problems in a sophisticated way, attempting to account for all the factors that generate them. One gets lost in detail that obscure reality. It is the tree that hides the forest from you. This is the strategy that politicians, with the complicity of the media, used to make you believe that they are managing complicated situations beyond your reach and that they alone are qualified to bring you the right solution. You feel stupid, inadequate, when in fact it is simple mass manipulation. All humans can, should, and deserve to understand all the natural, constitutional, legal, political, and financial environment if they are explained with sincerity and the simplicity that goes with it. As Winston Churchill wrote to Theodore Roosevelt during World War II, sorry to write you such a long letter. I did not have the time to write you a short one. You must demand a short letter from your politicians, and it is their duty to write one to you. They can take the time they need, but they must do it. It is their job. If you need 20 years of study, a Nobel Prize in economics or mathematics just to understand the world that humans have created, I say, understand it only without even being an active participant. Then the system we have built needs to be changed. We must simplify it and make it accessible to everyone so that it serves the majority rather than a minority of specialists who are barely capable of understanding it themselves. As for me, I took the time to write you a short letter that summarizes in a way accessible to all the foundations on which we are building tomorrow's environment. I want to offer you a new constitution that is healthier and more solid, but above all, more understandable and thus more usable by the majority of human beings. If a 7 to 10-year-old child cannot comprehend the text of your constitution, then by definition, it does not defend their interests, and you must rewrite it. To do this, you must return to the simplicity of the short letter. You must de-complexify the problems by reducing them to their simplest common denominator. This means returning to the foundations, to the fundamentals, but not only that. You must be able to define which parts of the equation weigh the most on its outcome. This means being able to sort out the elements that have the most influence on a system and eliminate those which have the least impact on the result. I say, de-complexify and not say simplify for the following reason. It is the cost of complexity. Without delving into the specific details of each sector of human activity, the cost of our infrastructures, of our political systems, of our legal systems, of our administration actually cost more for society to maintain than the total value generated by the citizens of that society. The complexity of the systems in which you operate today costs more than they generate, and they are no longer even a guarantee of our unity. Merely the cost of maintenance of physical infrastructures like roads, bridges, railways, etc., cost about 10% of their construction value per year. The complexity of our administrative infrastructures, which employ more than 30% of the active population in some countries, hello France, thus transforms a third of the workforce into administrative cost centers rather than profit centers, creators of value. It is estimated that the cost of collecting taxes by the state is about 40% of the amounts received. To mask the institutionalized theft by the state, they have imposed it on you gradually over 2 centuries in small steps, because you would never have accepted all these taxes if they had been imposed on you all at once. They started small, one tax after another, so that you would get used to the concept. And by 2024, they tax you on everything: your income, your wealth, oil, electricity, heating, water, vehicles, VAT, clothing, food, alcohol, tobacco, restaurants, cinema, CO2, garbage bags. It is endless. In a democracy, they will soon invent a reason to tax the air you breathe. They will. Try to imagine the cost of the administrative infrastructures needed to collect all these forms of taxes. It has become so complex that in some cases, like the wealth tax, for instance, the cost of collection exceeds the amount collected by the state. And I am not even talking about the time all entrepreneurs waste complying with the complexity of various tax rates, depending on the products, depending on the tax deduction rules, depending on exceptions of any kind. It is endless once again. It is, in fact, a hindrance to commerce. And of course, you, as a consumer, you pay for the entire process. You pay for this complexity. It's coming out of your pocket. But there is something even worse. Imagine, imagine that you are employed in the state tax collection services and spend your entire life applying sterile rules made complex solely to control all citizens' financial transactions and make your commission from them. You will inevitably realize the total uselessness of your existence. You will have wasted your life serving the complex rules that are so easy to simplify. You will die knowing that you served no purpose, that the state stole your existence, that you were the collaborator of a money-making machine made complex to better conceal it from those it harms. When you realize this, and it will happen sooner or later, you will say, "Oh, thank you, the state, for stealing my usefulness in this world, for making me complicit in what is contrary to the interest of my human community. In fact, thank you for turning me into nothing." It is said that on the day you die, the person you were meets the person you could have been or should have been. Well, may I wish you a beautiful death. You must simplify and standardize the global rules that ensure your ability to exchange knowledge, goods, and services efficiently. To do this, you must evolve and rewrite our constitutions, simplify the legal framework, eliminate jurisprudence entirely, and most of the procedural code. You must give back responsibilities to citizens and professionals in each sector of human activity via constitutions that prohibit state interventionism and which define the scope of each person's action based on their competencies and not based on their membership of a political party. So logic. This may seem utopian to you, given the inertia of our systems. But in fact, it is easy because by pushing our economies to their limits, leaders have made them dysfunctional and fragile. And as we all know, the best choice is to have no choice. And by managing our democracies according to financial interests and personal interests, our politicians no longer have a choice. They are on the verge of hitting the wall. A little nudge will be enough to force them to rebuild this system, to restore its value, so that it serves your interest rather than those of a small number of leaders. Power belongs to the people. It serves the majority in accordance with the constitutions, in the spirit of the democracies inherited from the Greeks. Demos kratos. Demos equals the people, kratos equals decide. The future will belong to you again. Summary. We are all affected by chronic complexititis. This is due to the structure of our brains. We are made for complex intellectual reasoning, which is both a strength and a weakness. In a complicated situation, you must come up with simple ideas. This is the only way to create consensus and meet the expectations of the majority. You must be able to extract what weighs the most on the outcome of the equation which you are trying to solve. Whatever the subject, if you cannot explain it to a 7-year-old child, it's because you have not understood it yourself. You must de-complexify the system so that a 7-year-old child can understand it, so that it serves them and defends the interest of global human communities. The success or death of our civilizations depends on it. Once again, it is your choice, and it will come from you alone. Thank you for your benevolent attention. Peace out.